My son and I were kidnapped. The thugs were live streaming it online, threatening to chop up my son and feed him to the dogs if the ransom wasn't paid. Instantly, the entire internet was searching for my husband. But what they didn't know was that at the same time, the NYC tycoon, who was making a public announcement with the actress on trending topics, celebrating a happy family, was my husband, the father of my son. The two trending topics together were so laughable. Later, the thugs took pity on my son and only took one of his hands. He dragged his empty left sleeve home, only to run into his father celebrating his darling's child's birthday. My husband frowned, looking at my son's huddled form, his eyes ice cold. Just like Lily Green's child, all he can do is act pitiful like his mother. My son looked up and, with his only remaining hand, tugged at his father's pants. "Mister, could you lend me some money so my mom can rest in peace?" My son and I were tortured by the thugs for the 23rd hour. David Foster, the NYC tycoon, was celebrating his sweetheart's child's 6th birthday. I had already called for help 88 times, and each time it went to voicemail. The thugs, exasperated, dragged me by my hair in front of my son, their expressions twisted. "Isn't David Foster your husband? Why can't we get through to him? Are you deliberately dialing the wrong number to stall for time?" As they spoke, they ripped out several clumps of my hair, tearing at my scalp, the pain causing my face to contort instantly. Throwing the hair on the ground, the thugs sneered and spat on my face, threatening, "I'm giving you one last chance. If we still can't get through, don't blame me for being ruthless." He pointed to my son, who was pale with fright, as if warning me what would happen if the call didn't go through. The next victim would be my child, who had just turned 6. The intense pain made my whole body tremble uncontrollably, but I didn't dare resist. I had to protect my child. I picked up the phone and dialed David Foster for the 89th time. Ring, ring, ring. "Hello?" David Foster's magnetic voice came through. The moment I heard it, tears streamed down my face. Joy and terror intertwined in my heart, making me blurt out, "Honey, my son and I have been kidnapped, you." Before I could finish, the man on the other end of the line interrupted me with obvious disgust. "Enough, Lily Green. I don't care what you're trying to pull this time, but leave my son out of it. If you have any conscience at all, don't use our son as a bargaining chip to win my affection." Then, he hung up without hesitation. The thugs' expressions changed, their eyes shifting to my son. Ignoring my despair, I immediately called back, afraid that even a second's delay could cost my son his life. The call connected again. I pleaded through tears, "David Foster, I'm not lying. We've been kidnapped. Please, save our child." There was a 2-second silence on the other end, then David Foster's icy, chilling voice rang out, "Then wait until you're dead, and I'll come and collect your bodies." With that, David Foster hung up and turned off his phone. At the same time, I received a video from Ashley Carter. In the video, David Foster, wearing a custom-made suit, was holding Ashley Carter's son in his arms, speaking confidently to the media. "Yes, that's right. This is my child with Ashley. Due to some misunderstandings, Ashley and I were forced to separate before, but now we've decided to get back together. From now on, I will be a good father and take good care of Ashley and Tommy Carter." Ashley Carter stood next to him, smiling sweetly. Along with the video was an e-invitation. "Dear Lily, you are welcome to bring Sparky to our wedding next month, on the 5th. We would also like to ask Sparky to be a flower boy for us." My heart felt like it had been torn into pieces, the pain almost unbearable. In a daze, my son suddenly cried out, "Mom!" It turned out that the thugs, having lost their patience, had dragged my son up from the ground and lifted him into the air, choking his neck. "You little brat, I didn't think you would be useless." My son's face was turning purple, his small hands beating frantically at the thug's large hands. "Mom! Mommy!" Anger overcame my fear, and I screamed, rushing forward to save my son. Before I could even touch him, another thug grabbed me and held me down, punching me hard several times. "You bitch, still dare to resist." As he spoke, he picked up a rebar from the ground and shoved it into my mouth, twisting it around. The rough grooves tore the inside of my mouth, my gums and tongue were mashed, and the pain caused me to whimper. Only after they had completely vented their anger did the thugs throw my son on the ground and turn on a live streaming platform on their phones. Since he doesn't believe the phone calls, we'll live stream child abuse. I refuse to believe that David Foster can be so heartless that he doesn't even want his son. The thugs' live streaming child abuse account and David Foster's public announcement news both went viral on trending topics almost simultaneously. In front of the media, David Foster affectionately let Ashley Carter's son sit on his shoulders, smiling as he said to the reporters, "Okay, that's the end of today's interview. Ashley and I have to go celebrate our child's birthday." Ashley Carter playfully glared at the man. "That's just how David is. He's always been a good dad." On the other side, the thug stuffed my son into a sack, kicking and beating him like a toy. I was tied tightly to a chair, forced to watch this scene unfold. My son's cries of pain went from heart-wrenching screams to the whimpers of a kitten. The comments section scrolled by rapidly. "I can't take it anymore. The child's cries are too terrible. Didn't they say that if the child's father agreed to connect, they would release the child? Where's his father? Is there anyone who can contact the child's father? Save the child!" The thugs dragged my son out of the sack, their eyes sinister. "Little brat, it looks like your dad can hold out. He still won't show up even after this. Fine, then don't blame me." With that, he picked up the rebar next to him, preparing to strike. I was so terrified that my eyes were about to burst, and I dragged the chair to the ground, kneeling and kowtowing like crazy. "Please, don't hurt my child. I'm not afraid of pain. Come at me, let my child go, please." My forehead hit the ground hard, quickly staining the ground red. My son opened his eyes, watching me shake my head constantly. "No, Mommy, Sparky doesn't hurt. Sparky doesn't hurt at all." My son's voice was like a sharp awl, piercing deeply into my heart. But I couldn't be afraid. He was only 6 years old, his life had just begun. Tears mixed with blood streamed down my face, and I gave him a gentle smile, just like I always did. "Sparky, Mommy's an adult, adults don't feel pain." My son's eyes were blank, and he kept shaking his head. The thugs lost their patience and walked towards my son step by step with the rebar. "You little brat, I'll teach you to cry." At the critical moment, I lunged forward, pushing my son away. The rebar fell, piercing through my body. The pain made my body convulse involuntarily, but I didn't want to scare my child. Even as the rebar was pulled out of me, I tried to maintain the smile on my face. I wanted to tell my child not to be afraid, to tell him that Mommy loved him very, very much. But the words caught in my throat, and I only smiled at him and said, "Sparky, don't cry, Mommy doesn't hurt." Before I died, many images flashed through my mind. I thought of our wedding day, David Foster nervously holding my hand, trembling for a long time before he could put the ring on my finger. I thought of the day we found out I was pregnant, the day David Foster asked me if he was going to be a dad. Eyes red. I thought of my son's 5th birthday, the grand celebration David Foster held for him. But then I quickly thought of Ashley Carter's constant schemes against my son and me after her divorce. I thought of David Foster's suspicious, disappointed, and then icy, ruthless eyes. My vision began to blur, and I heard my son's voice. He said, "Mommy, don't sleep. Sparky's being good. Sparky will be obedient." "Mommy, don't sleep." I used the last of my strength to raise my hand, wanting to touch my son's hair. But I only felt sticky blood. "I'm sorry, Mommy couldn't protect you. I'm sorry, Sparky." Consciousness faded completely into darkness. My son reached out his little hand, trying again and again to stop the blood flowing from my body. But it was all in vain. The comments section could no longer bear it, scrolling frantically. The thugs are monsters. Haven't the police arrived yet? Save them! Where's the child's father? Why hasn't he shown up at a time like this? Does anyone know this child? Help them, please. The thugs also panicked, anxiously saying to their companions, "What do we do? She's dead." The companion narrowed his eyes, his voice chilling. "It's okay, there's still the little one, right? We can still get the ransom." He pulled my son away from me and pushed him in front of the camera, exposing his little face, covered in bruises. "Look closely! This child's father is the president of the foster group, David Foster." The scrolling comments section paused for a moment. Then it exploded. How is that possible? Didn't President Foster just make a public announcement with the actress? Yeah, they do have a child, but isn't his name Tommy Carter? The thugs are crazy, right? They're trying to extort money from the wrong person? That's right, they must have kidnapped the wrong person. Just as everyone was discussing, someone suddenly spoke up. "I'm at the public announcement event. I saw President Foster looking at his phone." Wait a lit. No longer, President Foster must have seen the message and will be here soon. With that, a larger, bolder comment was pushed to the top, arousing the thugs' attention. "Connect with me. I'm David Foster." My son knew very few words, but he knew that David Foster was Dad, and his eyes suddenly brightened. Dad. The connection was made, but it wasn't David Foster on the other end. The thugs' expressions changed, and they slammed my son to the ground, about to cut off his left hand. The person on the other end quickly stopped them. "Wait. Don't be impulsive. I'm President Foster's secretary. I just want to tell you that you've kidnapped the wrong person. Everyone in the company knows that our President Foster has always been a man of integrity and has never had a child. The only one he acknowledges is the actress's son, Tommy Carter. Please don't hurt an innocent child." The thugs chuckled, holding the butcher knife to my son's neck, his voice chilling. "I'll give you 10 minutes to get David Foster on the phone, or I'll kick this kid's head like a soccer ball." The secretary had no choice but to call David Foster. "Hello? Who are you looking for?" A childish voice rang out, filled with happiness. The next second, a doting male voice came through. "Tommy Carter, the paper airplane is ready. Come on over, Dad Foster will play with you." The boy gave a cheerful okay and laughed happily. "Okay, Dad Foster, someone wants to talk to you." David Foster took the phone, somewhat annoyed. "What is it? Didn't I say that today is Tommy Carter's birthday, and I don't want to be bothered by anything?" The secretary paused, then immediately asked, "President Foster, do you have another son named Sparky?" Enough! David Foster interrupted the secretary angrily. "I don't know how Lily Green managed to bribe you, but I'm warning you, don't use a child as a ploy to win my favor. I only have one son, and that's Tommy Carter. Don't mention anyone else in front of me." Again! With that, there was another dial tone. His voice echoed throughout the live-streaming room, also dimming the light in my son's eyes completely. Perhaps he didn't understand what bribery meant, but he knew that he had been abandoned by his father. "Dad." My son murmured the word, his heart as dead as ashes, and at that moment, he stopped struggling. The live-streaming room was automatically shut down due to suspected violations. The thugs, enraged, picked up the butcher knife and were about to strike, but their companion stopped them. He looked at my son's innocent face and suggested, "All right, since David Foster won't acknowledge him, this child is useless. Cut off one of his hands and throw him in front of the Foster mansion. Since he wants his mother so badly, give him a chance to collect her body." The thugs curled their lip and moved the butcher knife to my son's left arm. The butcher knife fell, and my son's cries echoed throughout the warehouse. On the other side, David Foster, who was helping his child cut the cake, felt a sudden jolt in his heart. When he woke up again, my one-handed son had been thrown in front of the Foster mansion by the thugs. In the yard was a massive toy castle. David Foster and Ashley Carter were playing with Tommy Carter together. Constant laughter awakened my son's consciousness. He turned over with difficulty, gazing blankly at the happy scene in the yard, his eyes wet. Dad. Soon, he remembered what the thugs had said. He had to collect Mom's body. That's right, he had to collect Mom's body, even though he didn't understand what collecting a body meant, but his intuition told him that it was important to Mom. Thinking of this, my son didn't even have time to consider the pain in his shoulder and rubbed the ground with his only remaining hand. Little by little, he struggled to crawl towards the gates of the mansion. Pebbles cut his palm, and gravel seeped into his wounds. Each step was torture. A child who old usually act spoiled in my arms and act spoiled at the slightest scratch was now only crying silently twice before continuing to crawl. He watched the gates of the mansion get closer and closer, muttering, "It doesn't hurt, Sparky doesn't hurt, have to collect Mom's body." When he touched the gates of the mansion, my son finally breathed a sigh of relief. He looked up and shouted with the last of his strength, "Dad!" Hearing the sound, David Foster immediately turned his head subconsciously. Seeing the small body curled up outside the gates of the mansion, the man's expression froze, and his eyes showed pity. Just as he was about to step forward, Ashley Carter interrupted his movements. "David, is that Sparky? What's he doing here? Didn't Lily Green say they were kidnapped?" Ashley Carter's expression was ferocious, but her tone was gentle as water. "But then again, Lily Green has always been jealous of how good you are to Tommy Carter and me, so it's normal for her to want to ruin Tommy Carter's birthday. It's just that it's a pity for Sparky, being used by others at such a young age." Listening to Ashley Carter's words, David Foster's heart hardened again. He looked at his son from a distance, his voice cold and merciless. "What? You couldn't get through on the phone, so your mother sent you to act pitiful in front of me? How could I have a son like you? You're such a disgrace. Don't you dare call me Dad again without my permission. I'll count to 3, and you'd better get up, or don't blame me for being impolite." My son moved his lips, wanting to explain, but the pain had long sapped his strength. Seeing that he didn't react, David Foster's anger rose. He turned around, picked up the model airplane on the ground, and smashed it hard at my son. "I told you to get up. Stop pretending." The model exploded on my son's forehead with a bang, and blood dripped into his eyes, staining his vision red. He wanted to tell Dad that Sparky wasn't pretending. That Sparky hurt so much. But he had no strength. Seeing that his son still didn't move, David Foster was completely enraged. He shook off Ashley Carter's hand and walked towards my son. "You're still not listening, are you? Do you believe that I?" Before he could finish his sentence, a piercing ringtone sounded. "Hello, is this Mr. David Foster? Someone reported that your child was live-streamed by thugs this morning, and his mother died on the spot. Please come to the police station now to assist us with our investigation." Bang! The phone fell to the ground, and David Foster saw the blood on his son, his eyes turning red instantly. My son finally had some strength again. He looked up and used his only remaining hand to tug at David Foster's pants leg. "Mister, can you lend me some money to help my mom rest in peace?" The dark gray custom-made suit didn't show the dirt, but the blood mixed with mud that stained David Foster's pant leg only left some small black marks. What exactly is going on? David Foster was on the verge of collapse and turned to shout inside the mansion, "Get the car ready. To the hospital. Quick!" David Foster roared. "Lily Green just said they were kidnapped, but now Sparky is here and has made himself look like such a mess. David, calm down. Maybe Lily Green just wants you to be with her and deliberately sent Sparky over, Ashley Carter said, trying to stop him. She reached out and covered her nose, her malice and disdain in her eyes undisguised. Lily Green is something, even using her child to prevent you from leaving. Sparky is only 6 years old and has already learned to be like this. It's really. Ashley Carter deliberately didn't say the rest of her words. Only saying half of what she meant could arouse the man's suspicion, a tactic she had always been good at. But today was different from the past, and David Foster didn't have much of a reaction. The enraged and disgusted expression didn't appear as expected, and David Foster's expression was cold and hard, which made Ashley Carter a little puzzled. David? What's wrong? It's also my fault. I shouldn't have let you come to celebrate Tommy Carter's birthday. Lily Green must have missed you and deliberately let the child come to ruin Tommy Carter's birthday party. But she shouldn't have used such methods. It's just a pity that Tommy Carter is still young. If he sees all this, how much psychological trauma will he have? With that, she began to sob softly. What did you say? David Foster looked at her in shock. He understood what Ashley Carter was implying. Are you saying that Sparky did this on purpose? How could she say that? Wasn't she the most understanding person before? David, think about it carefully. This is a society ruled by law, and you are a high-ranking and powerful person. How could anyone dare to target you? It must be Lily Green who. Enough. Take a good look at what he looks like right now. Can he fake this? David Foster carefully picked up his son. The child in his arms was covered in blood and mud, and the sleeve on his left arm was gone, along with his entire left arm, leaving only a bleeding wound. Thick drops of blood splattered on the ground, blooming into small red flowers, which soon merged into a blood pool the size of a palm. Floating with bloody foam, it was glaring and frightening. At this moment, his son's head was close to David Foster's chest, his eyes closed. He had fainted from the pain. Ah, Ashley Carter was startled and screamed, David, this. How is this possible? She shivered and retched on the side. All I know is that if we don't go to the hospital now, my son is going to die. David Foster glanced at her and ignored her, carrying his son into the car. Impossible. Impossible. How could this be? Ashley Carter watched the car leave, muttering to herself. Lily Green, you did this on purpose, didn't you? You just want to take David away from me. You can't let him go. So you deliberately came to ruin us. Otherwise, why would his hand be cut off on this day? Lily Green, you just wait. When Ashley Carter looked up again, her face was full of resentment. Inside the car, David Foster looked at his son's closed eyes, feeling heartache. He had never felt that the road to the hospital was so long that he thought he would lose Sparky forever. How could this be? How could this be? He kept asking himself, didn't we used to be a happy family? Just like before, when we took Sparky to Scandinavia to see the northern lights and made promises of love in the pink and green intertwined light. Although it was Christmas/New Year's Eve, there were many Americans in Scandinavia at that time. The happy new year that rose and fell around us the moment it passed midnight at home made us feel like we were still in America. David Foster. I called him. What's wrong? David Foster said gently at the time, lowering his head to touch my forehead. It's nothing, I just wanted to call you, I said with a smile. Okay, I'm here. David Foster. Okay. David Foster. Okay. Happy New Year. You too. I will always love you. What about me? At that time, Sparky tugged at our pants, saying with a pout, I knew it. I'm just an accident. At that time, I felt that the world was no more beautiful than this. But now, just now, my son was tugging at his pants like before, but he was begging for help. How could his son suddenly appear in front of him in such a tragic state? What exactly happened? Sparky, you must hold on. Dad will make you better. David Foster's palm stroked his son's face, his eyes filled with pity. Dad will avenge you, Sparky. As long as you hold on, we'll be like before, a happy family, okay? The moment these words came out of his mouth, David Foster couldn't help but pause, like before. Can we still be like before? In his mind, I had targeted Ashley Carter countless times with my son, so he gradually began to hate my son and me, and eventually, the family split apart. He couldn't understand why my son and I had been so hostile to Ashley Carter from the beginning. He remembered that Ashley Carter had just gotten divorced at the time, and her life in the entertainment industry was very difficult, so he couldn't bear it and reached out to help her. At the dinner table, he introduced Ashley Carter to me with a smile, and although I wasn't happy at the time, I didn't say anything. However, later, a red handprint appeared on Ashley Carter's face, but she hesitated and refused to say anything. He understood in an instant. He thought I had hit her. When my son told him that I hadn't slapped Ashley Carter's face, he didn't believe it and only thought that my son had learned to lie at such a young age. How could someone slap themselves for no reason? Lily Green, do you know that even though you treat Ashley this way, she still covers for you? Even now, she hasn't said a single bad thing about you. Oh, well, if she's so good, you should go find her. I sneered at him. At the time, I was angry that what he had done was inappropriate, so I didn't explain anything to him. So, since he had already gone to Ashley Carter, could we still go back to the past? But my son is in this state now. Lily Green, why didn't you teach your son well? Why didn't you protect your son? A trace of resentment flashed across David Foster's face. Left arm severed, second rib fractured on the left side, both knees fractured, patient unconscious due to excessive blood loss, accompanied by moderate concussion, 16 injuries to the abdomen, back, and legs, right wrist dislocated. Patient may still suffer from psychological and mental illnesses after recovery. David Foster repeatedly looked at the several diagnostic reports on the medical record, his hands trembling. The light in the operating room was still on, and he leaned against the wall, on the verge of collapse. Chief, what's the situation with the child who was sent here today? Several medical personnel in work uniforms passed by in the hallway. Sigh, he's seriously injured. It's a miracle that a 6-year-old child has survived until now. I heard he's covered in injuries. I've been alive for almost 30 years, and I've never seen a child with so many injuries. It's hard to imagine what a child so young has experienced to become like this. Do you think it could be the one from the live stream? They exchanged glances, making a few guesses in their hearts. All right, let's talk less gossip during work hours. Let's work hard. Sparky, you'll be okay, right? David Foster covered his face with his hands, his voice choked. As long as you wake up, your mom and I will stay with you from now on. Right, what about your mom? Why hasn't she shown up until now? David Foster seemed to finally remember me and fumbled to take out his phone to call me. After showing several busy signals, he was like a monkey who couldn't get a banana, anxious and agitated. Rose, find a way to contact Lily Green. He sent the message to his secretary from last night. President Foster, we've already tried, but it keeps showing a busy signal. The secretary's voice came from the phone, making David Foster feel like he had fallen into an ice cellar. Then find her. David Foster growled. Yes, President Foster. There's also something I need to report to you. The police just came to the company and said they wanted you to cooperate with the investigation of the live streaming incident. They called you earlier, but you didn't answer. Got it. David Foster could hardly believe that the mother and son, tortured beyond recognition in the video, were his wife and child. Bright red blood splattered, and heart-wrenching cries filled the air. He saw me in the video, repeatedly calling his phone, but he didn't answer. He picked up once, but he couldn't even wait for me to say 2 words before hanging up. Complete. Ely disbelieving me. Then I'll wait for you to die, and then I'll come and collect your bodies. That was the last thing David Foster said to me. Little did he know, he really would be collecting my body. In that instant, all the sounds of the world seemed to fade away for David Foster, leaving only his heartless and cold words in his mind. Then I'll wait for you to die, and then I'll come and collect your bodies. Prophetic. He looked at my broken body, and suddenly, large tears rolled down David Foster's cheeks, his voice trembling. How could this happen? Lily Green, I came here with the police, not to see you like this. Lily Green, wake up and say something. If I were still alive, I would have been shocked that the powerful Mr. Foster would cry, and cry for me. But sadly, I was already dead, and I couldn't see David Foster's grief and collapse. He said, Lily Green, if I had believed you, would the outcome have been different? Lily Green, aren't you usually good at pretending, like all those times you targeted Ashley Carter and acted innocent? Is this another one of your acts, trying to make me change my mind? Impossible, a woman like you, cruel and jealous, could never compare to Ashley Carter. I could never continue with you. Lily Green, get up now. Say something. Mr. Foster, we understand your feelings, but please respect the deceased. We need to take the body back now. Please cooperate. 2 young police officers brought a stretcher, wanting to take my body away. At this moment, David Foster became affectionate, insisting on breaking through the police's obstruction to carry me away himself. The police were a little helpless and could only patiently persuade him, Mr. Foster, you will contaminate the crime scene. Please do not obstruct the police investigation. Also, please come back to the police station with us to make a statement. Inside the police station, David Foster, who had just finished giving his statement, looked dejectedly at the transparent, sealed bag in his hand, which contained a delicate necklace discovered during the autopsy. He remembered this necklace. It was a gift he gave us for our Leo Green's 4th birthday, 3 in total, 1 for each of us. The necklace was designed with a hollowed-out pattern, and when opened, it revealed a small family photo. In the photo, all 3 of us were smiling happily. I wore this necklace day and night, never taking it off, but David Foster's necklace, during countless arguments, saw its love fade away, and in the end, he threw it into the trash in front of me and Leo Green. David Foster, what have you been doing this past year? He recalled everything that had happened and slapped himself, his eyes filled with remorse. I will avenge you, Lily Green, for you, for Leo Green. How could you let this happen? I told you to get rid of them. Why is there still one alive? In the suburbs, a woman in plain clothes questioned the men in front of her, her voice sharp. Don't worry, sis, anyway, the adult is dead, and the kid is crippled. Isn't that even better? Your beloved Mr. Foster wouldn't hand over his company to a cripple, would he? Then all the money will be yours and your son's, right? Besides, now there's no one to compete with you for his affection, right? Humph, easy for you to say. If you mess this up, will David Foster won't suspect anything? If anything goes wrong, it has nothing to do with me, the woman said impatiently. Oh, sis, don't be so modest. Aren't we all in this together? Besides, once you give us the money today, we brothers will take it and fly far away. What can David Foster do, even if he's all-powerful? The men retorted with a smirk. Where's the money? Take it and get lost. The woman pushed the suitcase over. Hey, sis, weren't we supposed to get 5 million? Why is there only 1 suitcase? The man's expression turned ferocious. 5 million for 2 lives, but you only took 1. Did you expect me to give you all of it? If you say another word, you won't get any of it. You're messing with us? You believe down. Don't move. Before the men could finish speaking, they were interrupted by a shout, and more than a dozen police officers appeared from hidden places, all with guns in their hands. Ashley Carter! David Foster's eyes were bloodshot, clearly having heard everything. At first, when the police communicated with David Foster, he was unwilling to believe it. Until just now, David Foster couldn't even associate those words with the beautiful woman in front of him. He treated her like a treasure, but what about her? She colluded with the kidnappers to kill his wife, cripple his son, and even tried to take over his family fortune. No, David, it's not like that. Let me explain. Ashley Carter looked at David Foster's angry face, a little flustered. Explain what? It's them. They framed me. David, you have to believe me. I didn't want to hurt Lily Green. Ashley Carter explained, crying. She said she was forced, threatened by the kidnappers, and she didn't want to hurt me. How ridiculous, Ashley Carter, your excuses are always so clumsy, but David Foster always believed them. But this time he didn't. I don't know if I should be happy or not. Ashley Carter, do you think I'm deaf? Everyone here was here before you arrived. I heard every word you said. David Foster said angrily. If the police weren't holding him back, he would have rushed up already. You said Lily Green and Sparky hurt you. I'll ask you one last time, is it true or a lie? David, what are you saying? Haven't you seen the wounds on my body and our unborn child? Ashley Carter was still struggling. Ashley Carter had a miscarriage a few months ago, and this incident directly led to the split between me and David Foster. Ashley Carter cried in David Foster's arms, looking so pitiful that I had to admire her acting skills. But now it seems David Foster suspected her. Enough. I will slowly investigate everything you've done, whether those things are true or not. I won't let you go, Ashley Carter. David Ashley Carter looked at him with an innocent expression. Are you going to tell the truth? David, I admit I made some mistakes, but that's because I love you so much. I can't bear to have you with another woman. You forgive me this time, please? David, please help me. I don't want to go to jail. David, the police wouldn't give Ashley Carter so much time to quibble and escorted her away. A hatred that couldn't be concealed shone in David Foster's eyes. He regretted trusting Ashley Carter and abandoning me and our son. He hated how Ashley Carter was completely different from the memory he had of her, when she was supposed to be gentle and kind. Because the evidence was solid, the case of my son and me ended smoothly. The kidnappers were sentenced to death for multiple crimes, and Ashley Carter also suffered imprisonment. It's just that one was an NYC tycoon and the other was a popular actress, and it involved human lives, so the love-hate entanglement between the two naturally received a lot of attention, and the trending topics those days were almost all about them. Ashley Carter imprisoned, Ashley Carter buys kidnappers, Ashley Carter and David Foster scum, David Foster blind, Ashley Carter and David Foster fight in court, filthy things among capitalists. 20 entries rushed to the trending topics, and the tags behind them were either hot or boiling. Even more, the release of the court video shocked netizens. In the video, Ashley Carter cried and begged for forgiveness, saying she was just confused for a moment and hoped David Foster would give her another chance. Forgive you? Do I need to remind you how you were with that director Jones back then? I helped you when you just divorced. How did you repay me? Ashley Carter, you are so disgusting. David Foster mocked her mercilessly, completely different from when he made their public announcement. Ashley Carter, unable to bear the humiliation, began to mock back. David Foster, do you think you are so clean? If you weren't so stupid, Lily Green and your son wouldn't have ended up like this. In the end, you are the one who harmed your wife and child. The two fought in court, and at the end of the video, Ashley Carter snatched the pen from the lawyer's hand and stabbed it hard into David Foster's eye. Then, David Foster got another entry on the trending topics. David Foster One-Eyed Dragon. David Foster went crazy. Perhaps he couldn't accept the fact that he indirectly harmed me and our son, or perhaps he couldn't accept his disability, or perhaps it was both. In short, after this incident, David Foster began to suffer a mental breakdown. Foster's stocks went down all the way, the empire crumbled, and the group was on the verge of collapse. When he was sober, he left Leo Green a trust fund, enough for Sparky to squander for several lifetimes. You child, you don't tell your family when you're not doing well, you just keep it to yourself. If you had just made a call, we wouldn't have let you suffer so much. Poor Sparky, suffering such a catastrophe at only 6 years old. After we go back, I plan to invest in a research institute for limb regeneration to see if there's any hope for Sparky's arm. Aunt, who had returned from America, stood in front of my grave, chattering on and on. She looked grief-stricken. Don't worry, I will take good care of Sparky. Aunt's silver hair shone in the sunlight, as if promising me that my son's future life would eventually be sunny after the rain. 12 years later. My Leo Green had a prosthetic limb that was highly compatible with his body installed abroad. On the day of his success, Leo Green cried tremblingly at my photo. "Mom, can I come back to America to see you? I've been dreaming of you lately. Can you still recognize me now? I miss you, Mom." 2 uninvited guests came to my grave, David Foster and Ashley Carter. Leo Green brought them. He paid Ashley Carter's ransom and brought her to my grave to kneel and apologize to me. But when 2 enemies met, they were extremely jealous, and they started fighting in front of my grave again. Sparky, that child, doesn't know how to let me rest in peace. Oh well, let him be. Don't cry secretly in the middle of the night, Sparky. Ding, hello, host, congratulations on binding to the system. Would you like to revive your mother? If so, please become a task performer for this system. I do.